Oh, thank you for that comment. Thank you for that comment. It's not just you, Ramirez. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Taria. Thank you, Tamika, Sean. You take care of us. So I was saying, please make sure that you check out all of the Couples Academy shows. As you just saw, there's so many that are new that we have just begun, some that you've seen before. And so I'm saying, please like, share, subscribe. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for all of you faithful Couples Academy family members. Thank you so much for watching. And again, just for being faithful. Thanks for hanging out for me with me this evening. And I already see we have comments. I already heard somebody say, can you speak about the men? Well, guess what? We're equal opportunity here at Couples Academy. So that means that if I come for the ladies, fellas, you are right around the corner. I'm coming for you too. But tonight we're focused on the ladies. Tonight we're talking about the reasons why wives reject sex from their husbands. And go ahead and drop some comments here and let me know why you think that is. Doesn't have to be personal to you, but just give me your opinion. What you think are some of the reasons why wives actually reject sex with their husbands. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, I do want to say thank you all for joining me. These are reasons why wives reject sex, and I'm calling it erection rejection. That is the theme of this show this evening. So let's start with reason number one. And these are not necessarily in order of importance or significance, but just the order that I've placed them in. So the first one of the reasons why married women might not be interested in sex or might reject sex is because she's too busy. Maybe you're in a situation where your wife isn't initiating or she seems to be actively avoiding, because I have heard that as well. Maybe when you make sexual advances, whenever you do try to make them, that they're just not received warmly or at all. So, the first one, again, that we're going to talk about is possibly she's too busy. There are a lot of times where wives are working full time jobs, they are taking care of household errands, running around all day, caring for kids, which can be exhausting and stressful. And some just may be overworked and don't really have any energy left for sex by the time they finish doing all of the things that they have to do throughout the day. I do know that we have diverse households where there are some men who are full time stay at home dads, and there are women who go out and work. And so I know we do have that dynamic, but there are a lot of women who still do the vast majority of the household labor and taking care of the children even while working. So if that's true for your marriage, your wife just might be holding on to some resentment over an imbalance that may be taking place, because she may be thinking if we're both working, that we both should share the labor around the house as well as with children, if there are children in your home. So now I'm not just going to give you a problem or a potential issue. I want to give you some solutions as well to help overcome if this is the reason why your wife may be rejecting sex, or if you are here and you're the wife that's rejecting, why you might be. So, the most important thing is to make sure that she has some time to herself to relax and feel restored. She has to get rejuvenated and refreshed, and you do want her to be relaxed. A lot of times, wives have told me that they literally, if they did say yes and they did engage, that during the act, there are a lot of times they're running through that mental checklist of things that they need to do the next day or for that week, what needs to happen with the children. Like, there's just so many different reasons why she may be having difficulty again engaging with sex if she's really tired, if she's busy. So you want to make sure that you do share the housework equally if you can, including the mental load when you guys have to think about how to plan for the week, or just normal everyday things that you have to do. There's household responsibilities that aren't going anywhere. So she needs to see you making an active effort to take on your share of the load. If that happens, you might find that she has more time, more energy, and more interest in being sexually active with you. So, again, husbands, do your best, make an effort to equally share the responsibilities, because you care about her and you care about the relationship, not because you hope that it will win you sex. I hope you heard that. The motive, the intent, right? It's about care and concern and not about just trying to get sex, right? All right. So, number two, you're not on the same page about how important sex is. It is likely that you, well, I should say it's possible that you and your wife just have different needs when it comes to sex. One of you might want sex more often than the other, and there's nothing wrong with the lower libido partner. They just might not want it as often as you do. And your wife, simply put, just may not want sex as regularly as you do. She may not even know how important it is to you. There was a study that was done. It said 60% of the time that women reported a higher sex drive than the man. One more time. There was a study that was done. 60% of the time, women reported a higher sex drive than the man. So let's set aside some of our preconceived notions and biases about this subject. So, what can we do if it's a situation where you're not on the same page about how important sex is? As with everything in a relationship, you have to have open, earnest, exploratory conversations with each other about what sex means to you both as individuals. Talk about how you can create a mutually satisfying sex life that works for the both of you. And if you feel as if you can't do this alone, that's what I'm here for. Reach out, have this conversation with the help of a professional. These conversations can be very difficult to broach. I know it can be very awkward and uncomfortable. It can be embarrassing. There may be guilt, shame. For the higher libido partner, they may even make the lower libido partner feel as if they have a problem or there's something wrong with them. And that's not always the case. You just have different libidos. So no one should be made to feel bad. The higher libido partner should not be made to feel like something's wrong with them either. So we just have to be sensitive to the fact that we're not all the same, right? And the goal is to try to balance that out as much as humanly possible. I want to take a look right now at some of your comments here. I'm glad you guys can hear me now. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Cool. I'm glad you guys can hear me and you're giving me your ideas. I love it. I love it. I will respond to some of these. I will, but I definitely want to get you through some of these tips here and reasons why wives might reject their husbands. And again, just make sure that you have some solutions as well. All right. So the third one is she might feel pressured. And I don't know about you guys, but pressure can be a total libido killer. It can literally set off a cycle of sexual avoidance, and that is counterproductive. That is not what you want to do. The truth is that there might be a desire discrepancy between you, could be in general or just at a particular point in time. If you're going through this right now, it could be a season that you guys are going through. I do know a lot of times this happens right after a baby is born, or if there's been a health scare, if there's been a major surgery that has taken place that can cause a woman to feel just not attractive, not sexy. It can lower her desire. And if you continue to pressure her, then again, that literally could put her in a space of just avoiding sex altogether. So when you do feel, if there is a desire discrepancy between you, if you feel that discrepancy or you feel like, you're always asking for sex or your partner's always asking for sex when you don't want it, that can cause pressure as well. So pressure, not only does it kill the libido, but it also makes for bad sex, even when you actually end up having it. And all that pressure and bad sex might make the woman lose interest in sex altogether. So we're literally going from sexual avoidance to like there's no interest at all. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do? Well, we have to take the stress out of sex. And it's on both sides. There's something called performance anxiety, where men and women can have this. We see it a lot in men, probably more so than women, but there is something called performance anxiety. So we have to take the stress out of sex on both sides, right? And so we have to challenge expectations, right? That's number one. Challenge your expectations. You have to have a conversation about what your individual expectations are. And then communicate effectively is so important. I mean, everything that we talk about regarding relationships goes back to effective communication. So you guys have to have real, raw, but not rude conversations about sex. And then just take the pressure off by using new physical experiences. Sometimes you just have to try some new things, but again, make sure you're having a conversation about that. Don't just bring something new onto your partner without a conversation, because that can cause now some trust issues, and that really can have your partner avoiding. So make sure that if you do want to try something new, that you discuss it with your partner first, that you don't just spring that on them. Okay. Talk first, talk first, talk first. All right. Number 4, the kind of sex you're having isn't good for her. So a woman might lose interest in sex, even if she's happy in the marriage, if the sex does not bring her sexual pleasure. There are a lot of women, in fact, most women can't reach orgasm from penis and vagina intercourse alone. So you have to find other ways to stimulate her. You have to find out what works for her, what feels good to her, because just because it feels good to you doesn't mean it does for her. Another point too, and I believe I will probably go a little deeper into this. I don't know if it'll be tonight, might be in the follow-up. But there are a lot of times where just because there is a physical observation where you can see that there's stimulation, that doesn't mean that the woman is ready to have sex, just because you see that clearly that there's stimulation. So again, you have to learn what's good for your spouse. You have to figure out what feels good to her, what she likes, what she enjoys, what she doesn't, and respond. So if your sex life continues to follow a routine that doesn't tend to feel good for the woman, she again might lose interest in sex entirely. And again, counterproductive. That's not what we want. So what can we do? You want to learn how to make your wife have an orgasm and how to make sex better for her. You have to expand your definition of sex. We have to redefine what sex looks like, right? Because sometimes we come into marriage with these preconceived notions about what it's supposed to look like and what it's supposed to feel like and what we're supposed to do. And it's not the same as your spouse. And again, just because this is what you're used to, what you're accustomed to, what's familiar to you, doesn't mean that that's all that's out there. So you have to be open to expand your definition. You want to have sexual experiences that don't revolve around intercourse, especially if there's already performance anxiety or there's been pressure in the past. You literally want to take that stress off of your wife and not make her feel as if we have to have intercourse. We can play. We don't have to have intercourse every single time. She needs to feel as if you just want to be with her, be into her, make her feel good, try some new things. And it's not all about, again, intercourse. And so what's most important, again, is that communication and just talking to her about what she likes and what would be sexy and what would be pleasurable for her. So guys, I hope this is helping. I hope this makes sense to you and that some of this resonates with you thus far. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back in just a few moments. You are watching SOS.
Hey everybody, Danielle Pettiford here, and I am so excited to invite you to our upcoming masterclass entitled An Inside Job. Now, this masterclass is special because you guys have been asking for it, and we have been doing a lot of discussing about the Enneagram and how you relate with your spouse and how they really relate to you, and the lenses and the perspectives that we all have that differ. But maybe you still feel stuck individually. Maybe for you, you know that you're not operating as your best self. Well, there is a roadmap that leads you right back to you. And it's a very individual journey, but we all can take it together. I'm so excited about this masterclass. I'm excited about showing you how to live a life without fear, without anxiety, without anger, and for you to understand that God already had a plan for you when He put you on this planet. He knew who He had designed you to be. And it's for you to do the digging and discovering to find out who that is so that you can live the best life at the highest calling that God designed for you. So I hope that you will join us in this masterclass. I can't wait to see you there.
Boy, I see this chat is lit. Wow, you guys, this is what we're doing. Oh man, I am loving these comments. Thank you so much. I'm going to put some of these out here, especially now since you can hear me. Sorry about that, guys. All right. So, hey, Treetop Palmer, thank you for joining me. Hey, Tori. Um, Steve. Ooh, Steve, you have set off some of these ladies. Steve said, scripturally, a wife does not have a right to refuse sex, nor does a man. Wow, Mr. Steve. So I understand where you're coming from with that comment, because scripturally the Bible does tell us that our bodies do not belong to us, right? So I completely understand where you're coming from, and there are designated times where the Bible does speak about a wife refusing, but those are specific times. So I do understand what you are saying. I do want to see some of these other responses here. Miss Sandy said she thinks one of the reasons why wives reject sex is emotional disconnection. Lashana says maybe the men don't woo their mate. Mary Catherine Rosan says not enough intimacy or emotional connection. Lashana said maybe she is tired. Well, that was number one, Lashana. She's too busy because she's too busy, which leads to her being tired. Oh, Treetop. He cheated and she doesn't trust him. Emanuela says resentment and tiredness. Felice says no romance. Tiredness is a biggie. Carlisa says we work, take care of home and kids, and lack of romance. Yes. Emanuela, infidelity. Lashana says I quit cooking. I don't cook unless I want to cook. All right. I think this is Lashana and Steve. You guys are lighting up the chat. So I'm here. Jaleesa, I see you heard something that resonated with you, sis. So I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, you guys, keep these comments coming. We're going to jump right on back in and go on to the next reason why wives may actually say no to sex. Number 5, she's not feeling emotionally connected to you. So, some of the ladies who were in the chat, you got it. You figured it out. Maybe this is you, or maybe this was a conversation you had with one of your good girlfriends. But either way, you got number 5. So, here's the thing. I fully understand that everyone does not need emotional connection for sex to be great. But in long term relationships, you kind of do, because a lack of connection can actually be a huge factor in whether or not there's desire to have sex. And there was a quote, and unfortunately, I do not have the person who said it, but I will tell you it's not Lakeisha's words. But the quote was, sexuality will often emerge naturally from their authentic emotional intimacy. It is extremely important that we have emotional intimacy in our relationships, because that truly is what leads to that earth-shattering, groundbreaking sexual experiences. And so, if you think about it, if you have been having difficulty getting your wife to say yes, or you've had difficulty as the wife saying yes to having sex with your husband, eh, think about this, and you guys can actually ask each other this question. When's the last time you had a long, heartfelt conversation? or genuine romantic, like butterflies in the stomach exchange. And I know we have butterflies in our stomach a lot of times when we're dating, but it doesn't have to be that figuratively, right? It could be literally. And it just means that you've had some excitement or anxiousness in a positive way about being around your partner, your spouse. Because there's so many different types of intimacy. Like, it doesn't have to be one particular one, but intimacy must be present in order for there to be a healthy sex life. So if the two of you are feeling more like roommates than you are romantic partners, sex might just be awkward and it can be unappealing. And so again, it's something that again might just be a lack of interest at this point because it's awkward. And so, some of the things that you can do, definitely make time to connect emotionally with each other. You got to rekindle your connection. That is so important. And what were some of the things that connected you emotionally in the first place? Was it pillow talk? Was it long walks on the beach? Was it hand holding? Was it, sharing different secrets with each other? I don't know. Whatever it was that connected you initially, you have to get back to the basics. Bring back date night if you're not doing that anymore. And date night should be there without the pressure of having sex. That is so, so important. You got to spend more time talking to each other. Here we go again. Communication, right? You have to spend time talking to each other about your inner worlds, what's going on up here, not only in your head, but also your feelings, your fears, your frustrations, all of that. You should be able to share any and everything with your spouse. They should be your confidant. They should be like your best friend. And if there has been a disconnect, we got to go back again to the basics. Okay. All right. Again, and hopefully, you guys are getting something from this and it is helping because again, there's so many reasons why wives say no. These are just some of them. They're not all of them. And there may be something that is unique or specific to you. And so it may not be on this list that I'm giving you tonight, but these are a lot of the main reasons why wives will say no. So let's go to the next one. There are problems in a relationship. And so a lot of times, if there is some type of issue that you guys are dealing with in a relationship, if you've had an argument that's been ongoing for days, weeks, months, it could be an affair, it could be disagreements about decisions that are related to kids. That's a huge one. Work, money. Um, Honestly, top reasons why couples have discord, which potentially leads to disagreements and eventually divorce, are finances, kids, in laws, kids meaning parenting, okay? In laws, and sex is one of them too. But literally, it's so important that you address the issues that arise in your relationship. A lot of couples, again, that I work with that are having issues, struggling in this department and in other departments in a relationship, it has a lot to do with not facing the problems head on, not addressing them, allowing them to mount and build, and eventually you guys grow further and further and further apart. So then you have all this tension, which could then leap or seep into your sex life. So you have to deal with problems that come up in your relationship, address any ongoing conflicts, face it head on. Ask your wife about how she's feeling about the relationship periodically. How is she feeling about you and about your life together? And see how you can get back on track, how you can get back in a good place. Because again, if there's problems that are going on in a relationship and they're ignored, but then there's this initiation of sex, you're pressuring to have sex, or whatever the case may be, she may feel as if you're thinking whatever is going on with her is not important to you, or that sex is more important than her and her needs and her feelings. And I'm sure that is not what you're trying to get across. Okay. So important again to address those relationship issues head on. Don't let them fester. This also gives the enemy room to drive a wedge between the two of you. And if he can get in between you and get you guys arguing with each other, not getting along, not speaking, not having that intimacy, not having those connections sexually, then oh my goodness, we're on a road to destruction. So we have to make sure again that we address them when they're this big, because this big not addressed turns into something that's huge and massive, right? So we want to address it before it gets to that point. Okay, guys. So the last one for this evening, I cannot believe it is almost 9:30. This time goes so fast, and I'm having so much fun with you guys. But the last one we want to talk about tonight is motherhood. Motherhood conflicting with her sexual self. I cannot begin to stress to you guys how a woman goes through so many changes trying to get pregnant, especially if she's had difficulty getting pregnant and has had to rely on hormones, or had to have surgical procedures so that she could have a child. It literally puts her body through a war. So trying to conceive a lot of times is difficult, and it makes her not feel sexy because she's going through all these hormonal changes during the pregnancy, gaining weight, especially if she's sick. A lot of women, I mean, I've heard women literally have lost their teeth during pregnancy, lost hair, lost teeth, gained weight, stretch marks, all these different things that literally do not make her feel sexy. I'm just saying it is not attractive when she just finished vomiting and then you're saying you want to have sex. Like that's not the time, right? So during the pregnancy, going through sickness and just physiological changes, and then even after the baby, if it was a vaginal delivery or if it was a C-section, recovery time is different. The amount of time that you have to wait to have sex, and a lot of times she's, even after that window of time, she may not be ready physically. She just may not be mentally. She may not be. If she's nursing, that still affects her hormone levels. So it's just a huge imbalance after the baby is born, and then you literally have a child who is vomiting on you, peeing on you, pooping on you, crying all day, and then I'm supposed to then put on some sexy lingerie and and then please you when all I really want to do is take a shower and have a nap. So motherhood can definitely conflict with her sexual self, because again, children, they're pulling on us as moms, especially when they're babies, because they are so dependent. They cannot do anything for themselves. And then going into that toddler stage, that's a whole nother level, right? Because they're busy and you're ripping and running and chasing them and just trying to keep them alive and not have social services called. So, motherhood, huge transition. Women need so much support during that time period, especially early on. So, she just may not see herself as beautiful or attractive or sexy, and just may not see herself as a sexual being at all as she becomes a mother. And then society even desexualizes women once they become moms. You may be treating your wife differently. Right? More like a mother figure and less of a wife and lover and sexual being. So, what you can do, make sure your wife knows that you see her as a sexy being. You got to compliment her and give her just deep, long, delayed kisses, affectionate touch. You want to do these things without tying what you're doing to a request for sex. Just do it to make her feel good. Get her away from those kids regularly so that you can re-immerse yourselves, both of you, in your identities as individuals instead of moms and dads or your parents. So it's so important that, again, I know it's hard for both. It's hard for mom and dad when there's a new baby because there's adjustments. So you guys have to actually do the same thing for each other. Let each other know, hey, I still desire you. It's just I need a nap and I'm tired. So, communication, everything goes back to communication, being open, honest, transparent, and again, just loving on each other and doing that because you actually love each other and not because the motive and the intent is intercourse. So, guys, I just want to thank you again so much for watching. I'm looking forward to so much more. I can't wait till we dive into some other things, deeper things, because we are in the dungeon. So, what happens here stays here. And I need you to understand that we will be talking about all different topics regarding sex. And so, I hope that you will tune in every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, because I'm going to have something different for you every single time. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome night. This is SOS. My name is Lakeisha Hines, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Take care, you guys. Have a good night.